I am, mate. I'm on a fair bit of acreage out here, mate. So I spend most of my time on the mower and stuff and fending off chickens.
Hi, I'm Rico Gear and this is The Ruck. We love rugby and we love rock music, so it's great to have rock legend Jimmy Barnes' son, Berrick Barnes, on the show to talk about his new album, Big in Japan. Barnesy, welcome to the show.
I love it, mate. Very good, very good. He's always been a distant relative. I wish I'd actually got the chance to meet him.
Okay, he's no relation, but, you know, Barnesy's a sporting icon. You played a season, you know, with the Broncos. You know, you went to the Reds and obviously the Tars. Played over 50 Test matches. You know, just tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, mate, I've been lucky enough. I got to play probably in nearly as many clubs as you did, Rico. So it was good, mate. I was, you know, grew up in Kingaroy in small country town and played a ton of sports as a kid. And you know, I got to probably live out the dream that a lot of kids sort of you know, want to achieve, and that's to represent their country in a sport. And was lucky enough to do it in rugby. And well, I think the Broncos gave me a good grounding there. And then, you know, I was fortunate enough to have a fairly long career, but my body's starting to pay the price a little bit now.
Obviously, I was lucky enough to be brought up with a rugby league sort of background, which, you know, generally us league boys, we have pretty good, you know, generally pretty good tacklers, which obviously helps in rugby. So you obviously, you're part of Ipi Grammar, so you GPS school, played in the first 15 there?
Yeah, I did, mate. Yeah, it was, Ipswich is still very much a rugby league town. So I grew up in Kingaroy, and then I went to boarding school there in grade 8. And we sort of used to play league on the Friday nights and union on the Saturdays. And then that all changed once you started playing first 15. So, yeah, there's been a few boys to come out Ipi Grammar, you know, and in particular recently. So, it's a good school, mate. It bats above its weight in terms of the GPS competition. Just numbers-wise, it struggles a fair bit. So, but yeah, I haven't been back in a while, so it'd be good to get back down there and catch up on how everything's going.
Yeah, nice. Obviously, we sort of see, you know, the top GPS talent get poached by the NRL. So, you know, I can understand why you sort of went that way. But what brought you back to rugby after that little stint with the Broncos?
Well, it's just purely timing, mate. I had sort of 2 seasons there, and when I made the decision to switch back, I was sort of stuck behind probably one of the next immortals in Darren Lockyer. So it wasn't like I was. It just the way it worked out. I ended up playing the whole back half of the season, you know, in first grade, and had that happen prior, you know, maybe I would not have switched back. But the main catalyst was probably, mate, the opportunity to travel the world. I got a taste of it through high school and just loved it. Loved every opportunity I got to go and experience it. And I thought, you know what, while I'm still young, why don't I have a crack now? And I can always go back to league. And it turns out I never ended up doing that. So it was you know, it's not a decision I regret at all. I've loved my experience. And without it, I wouldn't have got a chance to probably play in the 2007 World Cup as well, which was probably one of the highlights I look back on, to be honest.
So you're involved with obviously a couple of World Cups and gave you a lot of grounding there with the boys, and obviously coached under Robbie Dean. So also I was coached by Robbie at the Crusaders and for New Zealand A side, and then you ended up with under Robbie again at the Panasonic Wild Knights. That's correct.
Yep. So you're part of the Shinkansens, weren't you? The Kintetsu Liners.
Yeah, the Liners. You know, they're still battling away. That relationship, you must have a pretty, you know, good relationship with Robbie. You know, the time you spent in Aussie and over here, there must be a bit of a father-son thing going on there, maybe?
Well, mate, it's funny. I had him as my coach for nearly 11 years, I think it was.
Yeah, wow.
10 or 11 years. So it was started in 2008 and then probably went through to nearly, 2019 it was. So, yeah, mate, extremely fortunate. I wouldn't say, like, early on, you know, in that sort of Australian dynamic, it was tough. I was sort of in and out of the team and, you know, form went up and down. So, but I probably got to see the truly best of Robbie at that club level up in Japan. Like, mate, geez, he's a good coach. And, you know, I got to see that probably more on a, not so much in a leadership position, almost in a friend sort of way, you know, like, you know what it's like up in Japan. You spend all your days with a lot of the foreigners and at Panasonic, mate, we were a mostly Japanese side with only a couple of us boys. So when we weren't at training, we often socialised together. And, you know, I got to see a different side of Robbie and saw how much he gives back to the game and what he puts in obviously to make the club successful. And, he's fantastic. And I learn a hell of a lot from him, not just on the rugby field, but also off it.
No, absolutely right. And I had the same experience with Robbie down at the Crusaders. Definitely that ability to, I guess, be relatable, to the player, and I guess feel like you're at home, which, means you can sort of go out there and express yourself in the way that you want to, and at the same time, enjoy what you're doing. So there was a real strength of Robbie's, and, very fortunate like yourself to be, coached, by Robbie. He's been up there for a long time now. How's his Japanese?
I think he understands more than he can speak. He's we've been pretty lucky at Pana, mate. Just through what Tony Brown, sort of his contribution there,
yeah,
and
of course.
we've sort of had a lot of the play. Yeah, what a legend, mate. And so I suppose with him getting guys like Fumi Tanaka, Shota Hori, these sort of guys down to Highlanders, we've sort of spread our ring. The club spread their wings a fair bit. We had a really good general manager who wanted to sort of push that sort of stuff. So a lot of the boys want to speak English anyway. So it's kind of one of those things. I used to ask questions in Japanese and then they'd answer me in English. So it was sort of we never progressed as well as it was. But mate, Robbie,
classic.
I think Robbie's found a home up there in many ways. Like, I know New Zealand will always be where he goes back to. But
yeah.
I think he speaks really highly of Panasonic, and I think it's probably the closest thing he's ever sort of formed to what you had at the Crusaders, which sounded like an incredibly special environment that you got to experience yourself.
Gee, those, you guys had a lot of success with Panasonic up there. I can only imagine, Robbie and Tony Brown sharing a few beers together. They're partial to the old Beru. So
they don't mind
Brown.
the boys.
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing for the New Zealand Māori team with Tony Brown. I was a young fella, and Tony Brown was our first five, your position. And man, I was so amazed at his accuracy. Obviously, when I was playing on the wing, coming around the outside, he'd put the ball in the right place, just perfect. And I was like, I always remembered his ability to be able to do that. And you see him. I'm not surprised that he's gone on as a coach, and very, very successful. I see. So, have you moved from Panasonic and you're now with Rico? Is that right? My team.
Yeah. Your team, mate. The
Named
Black
after
Lamb.
me. Thank you.
Mate. I had a 2-year deal there, mate, but I only did the one. My body's pretty much broken now, so I pulled the pin on the second year and retired. And I've ended up just running around here for the Lennox Head Trojans in the local Far North Coast competition, which has been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
But yeah, mate, it was a good little chance to go to Rico there. Hopefully, they've made some good recruits and good signings, especially in the coaching department for next year. So hopefully, it reaps some rewards for them.
Yeah, good one. Hey, so looking ahead, to that next level of rugby with Super Rugby, the news has just sort of come out that the Aussie teams are going to be joining the New Zealand teams 2021 for the Super Rugby comp. It sounds like there's going to be a bit of a, I think we're going to stay local initially, and then there's going to be a crossover later on in the season, which is, I think that's got to be exciting for New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah, I think it's good. I kind of think we need the tribalism locally, though, initially. I think I don't know how they're going to structure it, but I think it'd be nice for whichever team can win a New Zealand or an Australian competition to be crowned a champion, and then potentially go on and play the Kiwi teams in a round robin comp after that. I'm not sure how it works, especially with COVID and how this sort of stuff happens. But I think Australian rugby's, mate, we've lost to you guys that much, and it's kind of like the beaten dog. People need over here to feel like there's a bit of success and a bit of bit of local rivalry again. And
Yeah,
I think
100%,
I
100%.
think we need to foster it, and it was growing this year. And I think you've seen too in your NPC this year too, mate, that that sort of things return, and good crowds are turning up, and people are craving it again. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the format, mate.
Yeah, and talking about that tribalism, I think that's where New Zealand, we're probably lucky enough we get it right there with obviously schoolboy rugby, and then the ITM Cup, where there's a lot of that neighbourly sort of rivalry, tribalism. I see it a little bit, actually quite a lot here in the local Queensland club competition. I'm sure it's probably similar in New South Wales, and that's probably a good place to start. Yeah, right. So that's probably a good place to start.
Yeah, I think so, mate. The history of those clubs is what makes it. And amateurism, mate, you can say what you want about them, but people are turning up for the right reasons. And when you take cash out of the equation, you see people's true, how would you sort of say, not so much ambitions, but true motives behind things. And it's an authenticity that you can't get at the professional level. So I think if we can find a way to sort of enhance that club competition and make it the true second tier in Australian rugby, I think it can only be a good thing.
Yeah, no, and that's exciting that there's the opportunity now for things to just change up a little bit, and everyone get a bit excited, and after a pretty rough year. So looking ahead, obviously, I think we can probably say that we're pretty encouraged, I guess, from an Australian point of view in that first Bledisloe. Really seeing a bit of fresh blood come through, really compete well against the All Blacks in that first test, and then in the second test we did see the All Black team go to that next level, which they so often do on the back of a tight game or a loss. But again, there's another opportunity to front up and have another crack this weekend. So what are you looking forward to?
Well, mate, I was encouraged, even at Eden Park. I thought our first half was good. We were just inaccurate in the second half, mate, and that cost us both defensively and attack. And your couple of key ins in Beauden Barrett and Caleb Clark were massive game changers in that. But you know what? I was really impressed with our young pack. I thought our line-out functioned better too in the second game. So, mate, if we fix up a lot of those errors and we aren't as inaccurate, I'll give us a chance in Sydney. I think you guys will probably get the chocolates, but I'm hoping we keep it really close, keep it tight, and then we can go to Brisbane with some confidence. But, mate, some good injection of youth this weekend. I can't wait to see how they go. And, it's great to feel that sort of bit of a buzz around Australian rugby again.
Yeah, for sure. And as you know, like that second test at Eden Park, I see the Wallabies missed 40 tackles. Like, you're not going to win a test match on the back of those sort of numbers. And I think I saw Matt Berrick come out saying that, too many guys are trying to make big hits instead of actually just making the tackle, so that they stick a lot more. And, that's probably a fair point. We all want to put big shots in, but sometimes at the end of the day, it's just about actually being effective with that tackle quality, isn't it? So, like you're saying, we get those few things right from an Aussie point of view. It's going to make for, interesting a game this weekend. And I see, like, that Noah Lolesio, he's the 10. I think he's getting the nod. I was lucky enough to work with him a little bit at TSS here on the Gold Coast. I think it was only 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. So he looks like a really promising prospect.
Yeah, he does, mate. I think he reminds me a bit of Aaron Cruden in the way that he takes on the line. So it's going to be. Have you got me there? Sorry, mate. Yeah. Mate, it'll be exciting to see, how he goes this weekend. I think Matt Tamua has been a big out for the Wallabies. Just that experience and sort of level head at 12. It's and that hurt us second half at Eden Park. So with him out, Ire Simone comes in, which is another guy I'm excited to see, mate. I think since he's gone to the Brumbies, he's really, taking his game to a new level. And I think, his size and ability to offload will help us. But whether we're ready just yet for that environment, those guys, I'm not sure. But I think this is what you're seeing is the future of Australian rugby for this next 5 to sort of 8 years on Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. And it's I think it's a fairly similar story with the All Black side, with Hoskins Tutu coming in at number 8. And I think Caleb Clark, on the edge there, just two young guys that are raw and very, very talented. But looking at it, it's actually what I think both sides, need after sort of struggling World Cups, last season.
Yeah, well, mate, it's great to see this injection of youth. Like, mate, I loved your Super Rugby comp this year. The standard was fantastic. And to see this injection with, Caleb Clark coming in, he's been phenomenal. you guys seem to churn them out. I can't believe it. It's just we think we've seen the end of the bus, and then someone else comes along, and then someone else. Mate, it's phenomenal. So, but look, good for I think our young wingers have been going well. Dugunu and Corabetti's work rate have been fantastic. We just need Dugunu to stick to those tackles on the weekend, and we probably need to shore up stopping their momentum off first phase, and that's what happened in the second game. Caleb Clark got momentum through the 7-10 channel through there, and you guys played off the back of it.
And speaking of big talented wingers, I see that the Reds have got the big Storm Fijian winger Vunivalu. Vunivalu's coming across, which is exciting for the Reds, but also exciting for Wallabies.
Yeah, it is, mate. And he got a great intercept in the NRL Grand Final the other night and took some great form into that final series. So, mate, I'm excited to see him come across. He comes from a great organisation in the Storm, and what Bellamy and Frank Panisi do there is pretty phenomenal in churning out our players. So, mate, it'll be great for him. It's going to take him a year or two, as we saw with Corabetti, to transition to rugby.
For sure,
it's a different game, mate. So, all I can say is, mate, I'm excited. I love seeing a few big wingers around the place. That's for sure.
Yeah, love seeing them. Just hate tackling them. But thankfully we don't have to play anymore because, geez, they're getting bigger, faster, and stronger, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. It's scary where the game's going, mate. So for us it'll. I don't know what you were, Ricker. You're probably about 90, 92 kilos. I was about 87 trying to tackle Marnono and Sonny Bill. It wasn't much fun.
Yeah, no, not at all. Much better to watch. Hey, Barnesy, really appreciate your time, mate. Hey, thanks very much. All the best.
No worries, mate.
For the future, and we'll look to catch up with you again soon. Say hi to Dad for us. Cheers, mate.
Will do, mate. Rock out. Hooroo, fellas. Cheers.
Big thanks to Berrick Barnes. Thanks for watching The Ruck. I'm Rico Gear. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Go the All Blacks.
Boo. Boo.